What's up, everyone? I hope everyone's having a good day. Sorry, I'm gonna need to adjust my filter. Fuck it, we'll go no pop filter today because my camera's in a different angle. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. How's everyone doing? No, this is a different day than I usually stream on. I'm usually a Saturday streamer because I work Monday through Friday, for those of you who don't know. I work a 2:30 to 11 p.m. So my hours for when people are up are kind of limited. But I'm thinking that I might turn this music off. I'm thinking that I might make this a more normal thing for me, where I'll stream 2-3 hours in the morning before work because my sleep schedule's kind of fucked up anyway, and I'm just awake now. I just wake up at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. usually. And that's fine for most people. That's a very normal, that's honestly kind of late waking up for a lot of people because they get up at 8, some earlier, they had to go into work. But for someone who works at 2:30 to 11, waking up at 9 a.m. is a bitch because I just went to sleep 4 hours ago. But I've just kind of accepted my sleep schedule kind of fucked up. I'm not waking up later than 10:30 ever, unless I stayed up until legit 7 a.m. playing games or something. So I figured instead of bumbling around in the morning and just dreading going into work, maybe I'll start streaming a little bit. Give myself something to do, give you guys something to watch, hopefully. Like I said, hope everyone's doing well. We're going to be going over a bit of news today, and I hope to get into some video games. Be one of my, and not one of my first game streams. If you're an early viewer, you remember a Black Desert stream that I did once because I wanted to go farm and I needed to test out my streams, and there we were. Let me know if anything's dropping, by the way. I keep on seeing my my ping rate drop, and I'm very upset with Cox Cable about it. But yeah, let me know if anything drops, and I'll try to I don't know if it's needed. I'll try to do a reset or something. We'll see what we can work out. I'm paying for the best service that Cox Cable provides, so there's not really much else I can do. Okay, I guess technically I could get a business line, but I can't afford that. But originally, with this stream, all I really wanted to go over... Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry, I'm a bit stuffy in the morning. I'm going to mute myself and go away so I can blow my nose, and I'll be right back. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. What I was going to say is originally, all I really wanted to go over this morning before we got in some games, probably Final Fantasy, maybe Destroy All Humans. We'll see how I feel. Well, I just wanted to go over a recent and very, very disgusting anti-trans bill that came out in Tennessee that essentially is making it so that you have to put up signage that says that you'll serve as trans people. That's not the exacts of it, and I'll go over the exacts here in a bit. But I just say that to say that there's actually, when I was having my morning smoke, there was some new stuff that I saw that actually really intrigued me that has to do with Israel and Palestine. I mean, it's not new information really. Everyone who's been paying attention, at least, has inferred some of this. And has really known this for a while. If it's not something that they had to infer, has known this for quite a while. It's just Netanyahu and talking about um the coalition government that was coming up to oust him, that had 30 days to do so, and now suddenly, just just completely unrelated, they can't do so because of a bombing campaign on Palestine. Um, that being brought up by I can't remember what this guy's name is. Someone on Face the Nation. So that's honestly something that surprised me. Like, I want to see, people are saying a CBS like Face the Nation interview was good. I want to see what's up with that, because that's not something you hear from the lefty sphere, or like even really the liberal sphere, too often. But I've heard some lefties say that this was a pretty good interview, going in on Netanyahu. So I'd like to see that. I mean, I want to see someone on mainstream media say something about it. Um. Oh, excuse me. I drank too much water too quick. I'm just having all kinds of a rough morning, aren't I? I want to see some of that, just because I honestly don't believe it that there's anyone on CBS who actually went in on Netanyahu. But this is also the same guy that got Trump to like get upset enough that he just started shuffling through papers on an interview. So who knows? Maybe it'll be good. There's what I actually want to start out with, though, is a point that I've been trying to make for a while. And this point that I've been trying to get at for a while here is, or at the very least, since the recent escalations in Israel and Palestine started, is that there seems to be like this conservative pushback saying that Biden hasn't been like as in supportive as Israel as he should be. And while I'm not supportive of Israel in this, don't get me wrong, like, free Palestine, absolutely. Doesn't make me Hamas stan, but absolutely free Palestine. Um, but that aside, I have no idea what they could think that Biden could do, like, more at this point. I mean, we've absolutely sold, like, oh, what was it? I think it was $750 million, like $750 billion worth of weapons. Was specifically like precision strike missiles to Israel recently. Like, that's a recent thing that Biden has done. Biden has been extremely supportive of Israel, and insofar to even like upset like the more progressive spheres in his own party, and definitely the progressive spheres online, which matter a lot less, honestly. Like, accept it, guys, we matter a lot less. But Biden is like to the point of supporting Israel to the point of upsetting these groups of people. But for some reason, Republicans are railing in, acting like Biden is just super, like, Palestinian Hamas super soldier. And honestly, I want to look at this and see if we can parse out what they could have wanted. As this is Representative Chip Roy of, I believe it's Texas, slamming Biden for abandoning Israel as we sell them almost $1 billion worth of weapons.
I said before, in the last 8 days, Hamas has launched more than 3,300 rockets at our friends in Israel. Think about that. We've had 10 people in Israel have been killed, both Jews and Arabs. I read a story of a young...
I think it's higher than 10. I think this was like yesterday. It was like 13 as of yesterday, 13 or 14. And that is terrible. That's not a good thing. There shouldn't be civilian death on either side of this. I think we can all agree on that, unless we're absolute monsters, right? But that's not, like, no one is saying that that's a good thing that happened. The response is that the, like, Palestinian death count is at almost 250 at this point. It's racking up extremely quickly, and 13 to like 200 is a entirely, I mean, I'll look it up in a bit. is an entirely like disproportionate amount.
Indian woman who was visiting Israel, who was
that,
also lost.
Hold on, sorry, I don't know what that tooltip is. It won't go away now. Okay. Guess I'll restart this video.
I said before, in the last 8 days,
now.
Hamas has launched more than 3,300 rockets at our friends in Israel. Think about that. We've had 10 people in Israel have been killed, both Jews and Arabs. I read a story of a young Indian woman who was visiting Israel, who was also lost her life. Iron Dome has intercepted 90% of the rockets. Hamas is trying to overwhelm the defense system and destroy Israel. 70% of Israeli civilians have run into a bomb shelter this week. Parents and children are being woken up in the middle of the night.
So that's another thing that's terrible. There shouldn't be parents and children, families running into bomb shelters. However, it would be a lot worse if you were, say, in an open air prison and the people keeping you in that open air prison were then bombing you while you didn't have bomb shelters to go to. That's the reality the Palestinians live with. That they don't have bomb shelters to go to. Their infrastructure is already poor because they live in, once again, an open air prison that's constantly being having an occupying force within it, as well as well as infrastructure targets being hit constantly, making the infrastructure in the area more and more poor. No one's saying that people having to run into bomb shelters is a good thing, but once again, that they're not being bomb shelters and you still being willing to bomb hospitals and schools to get Hamas launch sites is the disproportionate response that we're talking about. And that's what people actually have a problem with. No one's saying let Hamas run nuts. But people are saying that if you have a hostage situation and you go in, manage to not take out any of the hostage takers, or maybe a few of them, but also manage to cause massive civilian casualties on all of the hostage, well, I can say all. Let's say you killed 40% of the hostages. That would be a failed hostage rescue. That's not a good thing. That shouldn't be something that we're praising.
By sirens alerting them that they have 90 seconds to get inside a bomb shelter. We had Esther Schlesinger huddled within their one-year-old son in a bomb shelter on Tuesday. And when speaking about the event, Esther said, "I didn't have time to grab anything. I didn't have time to grab my phone. We just ran into the shelter and kept hearing explosion after explosion." She continued, "I feel terrible for these parents who have to try and explain what's going on. I literally was holding my son in the bomb shelter tonight, thinking I'm grateful he isn't old enough to understand why I had to quickly grab him. Despite all this," she said, "I don't doubt my decision to live here. Even in these crazy times, it is so important to me to be here as a Jew." We're seeing the result of a failed policy of this administration. When you think about it, President Trump called Prime Minister Netanyahu 2 days after his inauguration.
So, what's the failed policy of the Biden administration? Is it giving humanitarian aid over to Palestinians? Is it not giving them selling a full $1 billion worth of precision weapons? No? Okay, it's not that. What exactly is it then? Because if it's not the humanitarian aid that's the failure, and it's not the missiles, then what is exactly? Because he hasn't even come out and publicly condemned Israel. I believe what he said was to told Netanyahu to get it done quick or something to that effect. I have to look up the exact quote on it. But if we want to talk about policy failures that are endangering the lives of Palestinians and Israel's, Donald Trump is the one who cut the funding for relief to Palestinians. I think it was in 2016 they did that, and literally like Palestine's own like security forces, or sorry, it's like security professionals told the U.S. that it was a bad call and that it would embolden Hamas. Like Israel's own security officials urged us not to pull that aid that Biden is now reinstated to. I think it's like the United Nations Relief Fund or something like that.
The current president took over a month to call the Prime Minister of Israel, arguably our closest ally in the world, certainly our closest ally in the Middle East. When asked, President Biden's secretary couldn't even say whether Israel remains a, quote, important ally of the United States. The Biden administration has emboldened Iran, the number one state sponsor of terrorism, dedicated to the destruction of Israel and the United States, by restarting negotiations on the failed 2015 Iran nuclear deal.
Oh, that's how. Okay. So by negotiating with Iran and making a deal so they can no longer make like so that they wouldn't be under sanction, and if they're going under UN inspections, and to make sure that they're not producing nuclear weapons. That's what's emboldening terrorism in Palestine. That's the that's the like great policy decision that Joe Biden has made that's going to embolden Hamas in Palestine. It's working, not even reinstating, working on reinstating the Iran nuclear deal that Trump managed to bumble over his 4 years in the presidency. Okay.
They rewarded the PA by restoring millions of dollars in funding to the West Bank and Gaza, undermined Israel and international organizations by restoring $150 million in funding to the UNRWA and rejoining the Israel-hating United Nations Human Rights Council without much needed.
His policy, the points of policy that he's saying are joining, like the bad things are joining the Human Rights Council for the UN and giving money to the UNRWA, which, by the way, $130 million compared to the 700 and was it like 750 million? Hold on. Let's see. Here it is. $735 million in weapons that we sold to Israel. Compared to that, like $130 million to the UNRWA, which, by the way, stands for United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Like, they build and operate health programs, like education programs, and they help build infrastructure in Palestine. That's what we gave money to, and that's what the grand danger to Israel is. That's that's our policy mistakes. Are you kidding me? Like, can you be more entirely callous than calling human rights organizations like donating, or not even donating, a country giving money to human rights organizations and helping to like help the UN build up health programs and infrastructure, emboldening terrorism? That's just straight up saying that you don't think that Palestinians deserve these things.
It's one hit after another, one punch to the gut after another to our friends in Israel, while we're funding Hamas and their ability to fire rockets at our friends in Israel.
How are we funding Hamas? Like, literally all that was saying we gave aid to the West Bank, which is true, and that's good. Aid to Gaza and West Bank is good and very needed. And we also started giving money to the UNRWA again, which, once again, just rebuilds infrastructure, helps with schooling and housing and things like that in Palestine. Like, none of those things are funding Hamas, helping Hamas shoot rockets. Unless you consider them living because they have drinking water, helping Hamas shoot rockets. Because I guess technically Someone being able to be alive because there's infrastructure and health services within their territory would be helping them. So in that sense, you could be helping Hamas. But let me be straight with you here. Hamas would love nothing more for them to have some more of this aid cut, for them to have like more and more Israeli violence be put down, and for them to not have any of this humanitarian help come in. Because that's what emboldens people to join terrorist organizations in countries like this. Like, people don't get born terrorists. That's not how this happens. No one's born Hamas. You get radicalized because of an occupying force, and likely because of family members who are a part of that retaliation force, like indoctrinating you into it. But without the without that occupying force, and without greater and greater strife, it's harder and harder for organizations like this to build. It becomes harder and harder for them to recruit when there's less and less of a hard opposition to people's just general lives. I need to get some water. This is my first cup of water of the day, so I'm super thirsty. I try to get through I try to get through 3.5, 4 liters of water a day. Maybe a little more now. It's getting hot. So I don't know. It always seems like when I wake up, that first glass of water in the day is like I almost died in a desert, man. Oh, let me rename that. But seriously, what do these people want? What do these people want Biden to do? I'm no Biden stan or anything. But do they just want Joe Biden to go out and personally start killing Palestinians or something? Because that's the only thing I can gather at this point. Because Joe Biden hasn't really changed the US position on Israel at all. But we're still at this point where people are freaking out about it. And, let's be real, virtue signaling to each other about how good they are and how much of a good Christian, good conservative they are. It's ridiculous. I need to look up this guy's name. Hold on. Who's the host for Face the Nation, guys? No, not the woman, not the woman. Margaret Bennett. What? Really? Is his name Margaret? Is this a guy named Margaret Brennan? No. Who interviewed Netanyahu? John Dickerson. That's who it is. Okay. We'll put this one at 1.25 because it's a little bit long, and I gotta go to work in 2.5 hours. Why is my CPU at fucking 60%? I'm literally just on a web page. Okay. Whoop. To my surprise, I actually heard a decent amount of praise coming out to CBS and John Dickerson for an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu on, obviously, on Israel and Palestine that happened on this last Sunday on Face the Nation. I mean, apparently they brought up the coalition government point, which you don't really hear too much, especially coming from mainstream media. So I'm actually kind of excited. I want to see. I'm got some tempered expectations. I'm thinking lefties may have been overblowing it a little bit just because we're excited to see like any mainstream media representation of Palestinians as people, and well, what Israel is doing is wrong. Um, but I kind of want to just go through it a bit, and we'll see like if it's as based as people say it is. I really hope it is. I really do. Like if people on mainstream media are gonna start going in on Benjamin Netanyahu and actually talking about how this is clearly him trying to avoid getting ousted by a coalition government that had 30 days to be able to oust him, and then just suspiciously conflicts in Palestine rose up and that coalition government could no longer do so. Like, if we're actually going to start hearing this coming from mainstream media, dope. But let's see. I'm going to be playing it on 1.25, by the way, just so we can get through it a little bit quick. It's like 12, 13 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, never mind. He talks extremely quickly. We'll do it at normal speed. Fine.
Good morning.
I want to start with yesterday was the worst clash in this 7-day conflict. The last one of a similar sort in 2014 lasted 6 weeks. How much longer are these hostilities going to continue?
Well, I mean, hostilities have been going on for about 8 days. And it was about 3 days before that. I think it was 3 days. Correct me in the comments if I had the timeline wrong on this. But it was about 3 days before that they had 30 days to get me out of the government with a coalition. So it's gonna go on for about another. Let's see, about I just fail on math. 3 plus it's been what 8 9 no it was 8 days since the start there, so 11 14. Well, no, we'll go from his interview. There's going to be about another 19 days worth of violence, bare minimum.
Well, we hope that it doesn't continue very long, but we were attacked by Hamas on our National Day, Jerusalem Day. Unprovoked attacks on Jerusalem.
Unprovoked. Okay, first all, Jerusalem Day is the day that you celebrate taking the land from the people that attacked you. So, let's just get that part straight. But even outside of that, what about you going to the Al-Aqsa, well, not Benjamin Netanyahu personally, but IDF forces going to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and brutalizing people during Ramadan? Like, that's 100% what kicked this off. And it's not like Israel doesn't know that that was what was going to start, or like a rocket retaliation. Like, not only is this just you attacking one of the most important holy sites of a religion, that's already extremely bad on the first part. You're going through and attacking someone's holy site, like, everyone would freak out about that. Imagine if American forces were rolling up into, like, churches during Easter and fucking people up. That no one would be taking that lightly. That would not be okay. But even besides just you going outside of, like, just you going to someone's place of worship and assaulting them during especially during an extremely, like, holy week. This specifically is what kicked off the second Intifada, sorry. Like, specifically attacking the Al-Aqsa Mosque during Ramadan is what kicked off the last war. So, doing this is a calculated ploy. Make no mistake about it. And it absolutely wasn't Hamas attacking Israel unprovoked.
Thousands of rockets and missiles on our cities, and I think any country has to defend itself. It has a natural right of self-defense. We'll do whatever it takes to restore order and quiet and on the security of our people and deterrence. We're trying to degrade Hamas's terrorist abilities and to degrade their will to do this again. So it'll take some time. I hope it won't take long, but it's not immediate.
2,900 rockets fired on Hamas, according to fired from Hamas, according to one report. But there's also a report that Egypt offered a truce. Hamas said yes. You said no. Why?
Well, that's not what I know. And frankly,
Wait, what?
if Hamas thought that
they
could
absolutely offered a truce. What are you talking about? And you said no. What are you talking about? That's just an outright, blatant lie.
Fire on our rockets and then sit back and enjoy immunity, that's false. We are targeting a terrorist organization that is targeting our civilians and hiding.
Okay. So what he's saying here is that he never heard about any truce attempt. He never heard about anything about that. But also, Hamas thinks that they're going to get a truce with us after they fired rockets at us. They must be fucked up. Like, are you kidding me, dude? It's super obvious that you got the, like, everyone knows that truce was declined. And honestly, yeah, like a ceasefire going between anyone, like going between them. Yeah, people should expect you to sign that because that protects your civilians' lives and that protects Palestinian civilians' lives. No one expects Israel to not retaliate. But you don't have to do that by bombing hospitals and schools.
Behind their civilians, using them as human shields. We're doing everything we can to hit the terrorists themselves, their rockets, their rocket caches, and their arms. But we're not going to just let them get away with it. Neither would you. I mean, you just imagine what would have happened if you had 2,900 rockets fired on Washington and New York and others. I think you would understand our position. I think you do, actually.
The precision of that targeting has been up for question. There's been a lot of focus on the bombing on Saturday in Gaza of a building that housed the Associated Press and Al Jazeera, the Committee to Protect Journalists.
And on the same day that, I don't know, sorry, was it the same day? When was the PCRF building bombed, guys? PCRF building bombed. May 17th, that was what, 3 days ago? Okay, so 2 days later, the PCRF's building was bombed. Like, and it was across the street from the Ministry of Health for Gaza. That's who they were trying to hit, by the way, was the Ministry of Health. And the PCRF offices just managed to, or happened to get hit.
Journalists demanded detailed and documented justification. This morning, there's a Jerusalem Post story that says the Americans were shown a smoking gun. That proof that Hamas was in that building. What is that proof? And did you show it to the Americans?
Well, we share with our American friends all that intelligence. And here's the intelligence we had. It's about Palestinian terrorist, an intelligence office for the Palestinian terrorists.
And also, American officials have said that no proof has been provided to them that proves that Hamas was in that building, by the way.
Organization housed in that building that plots and organizes the terror attacks against Israeli civilians. So it's a perfectly legitimate target. And I can tell you that we took every precaution to make sure that there were no civilian injuries. In fact, no deaths, no injuries
Notice
whatsoever.
He's not going to answer what that proof
I can't say
is,
injuries. I don't know if somebody received a fragment of a stone. I don't know that. But no people were killed. Now imagine, ask yourself, how is that possible? You see these high-rise towers that are used by Hamas over and over again, they collapse and no one is killed. Why does that happen? Because we, unlike Hamas, take special precautions to tell people, leave the building, leave the premises. We make sure that everyone is gone before we bring down those terrorist facilities.
What about the buildings that are across the street, like that are in the same neighborhood, that get absolutely destroyed? Like, what about the entire like neighborhoods that are leveled, dude? This is you can play the we give them forewarning. I think they give them like an hour's warning, but you can play the we give them forewarning that we're going to bomb the offices and homes around them. But at the end of the day, there's nowhere for people to fully evacuate to in Gaza. There's nowhere fully safe for them to know that they're going to. They just know that at some point a missile will drop, and hopefully it's not going to be on them.
And that's the difference between Israel and Hamas. They deliberately target our cities, deliberately target our civilians. They glorify the death of children and civilians and old people. They are happy with it. I think they're happy with any deaths that are caused to them. We grieve for every non-combatant loss in Gaza, and we grieve for all our civilians who die in Israel. We're not happy with it, and we try to minimize it.
I want to get to minimizing those casualties, but you spoke with President
let's talk about
Biden yesterday.
Casualties. Let's see. Let me see if I can find this news article, because this is really gross. Hold on, let's Israel children protesting. Here we go. 42 knees and... Yes, I'm running ad blocker. What about it? Fine. Fine. I just want it so that I can play music on my streams, guys. I'm not running ad blocker anymore. Did you seriously? You took me to another page. Jesus. If you're running a site that has one of those ad blocker pop-ups, I get it. That's fine. Don't take me to another site. Like, have it be on the same page. Anyway. 42 knees in one day. Israeli snipers open up about shooting Gaza protesters. Over 200 Palestinians were killed and nearly 8,000 were injured during almost 2 years of the weekly protests at the Israel-Gaza border. Israeli army snipers tell their stories. This is ex-Israeli army snipers. Oh wow, you actually have to go in to subscribe to them to get like the text of it. But essentially, once a week, Palestinian, like a lot of teens and children, would come up to this border and they'd protest. And weekly, snipers would take pot shots at protesters, and in one instance shot 42 people and injured them in one day. They're aiming to maim, not kill at that point. Like, there was one of the big things that the PCRF, if you caught it on Vasha's stream, that the founder of the PCRF talked about was their, sorry, I have a nervous laugh, was their program to get prosthetic limbs and crutches and things like that, specifically for children that had limbs destroyed by snipers during these protests. But Netanyahu wants to come on Face the Nation and talk about minimizing civilian casualties and how their heart bleeds for every Palestinian child that dies.
It's inconceivable you would have talked to him and not shared proof of Hamas in those buildings that housed the journalists. Did you share that with him?
Well, we pass it through the intelligence services to our people, to those people. Why do you think we brought down that building?
Didn't. So our intelligence services are the ones that are saying that you never gave them any proof of Hamas being there.
The same thing is, I would say that, you know, all the journalists, one of the, I think, AP journalists said, we were lucky to get out. No, you weren't lucky to get out. It wasn't luck. It's because we took special pains to call people in those buildings to make sure that the premises were vacated. And that's why we brought down that building.
We did our war crimes so good, guys. Like, we did it so good. How are you angry at us that we did this so... I mean, we called people. Come on. This is a war crime. He's a bomb. Oh, targeting journalists is a war crime. Huh. Who would have thought? But we did our war crimes so good, guys.
You have your own experiences, I think, in Mosul, in Fallujah, in Afghanistan. I think you can appreciate the efforts we go through in dense urban fighting when terrorists are...
Also, don't bring... Sorry, just... sorry to be a pause Andy here. But don't bring up Fallujah as, like, a good example of a country being a good occupying force. Like, we committed war crimes in Fallujah. Yes, what the Americans have done is also very bad.
Targeting civilians who are hiding behind civilians, how difficult that is. We do our best to avoid civilian casualties.
Did you just say targeting civilians?
When terrorists are targeting civilians who are...
Okay, when terrorists are targeting civilians. Okay.
Hiding behind civilians.
Got it.
How difficult that is. We do our best to avoid civilian casualties, and we did that yesterday with that building.
I was going to say, like, that'd be the
Prime
biggest...
Minister, the arguments about how
do.
careful Israel have been are familiar ones to your critics. And in this case, with 181 Palestinians dead, 52 of them children, there's significant criticism. Amnesty International has asked the International Criminal Court to look into a refugee camp attack. The UN is meeting today. Foreign ministers of the EU are meeting.
Actually, I believe that number's gotten higher now. Let's see what it is. Current Palestinian death count. Human Rights Watch data, right? No, I don't need that. I don't need extra info about Gaza or anything like that. Okay, so the death toll has reached 217, including 63 children and 36 women. So there have been currently 207 in the last 8 days. 8 or 9 days. There have been almost 225 deaths in Gaza alone. Let's see what percent, because that's a high amount of them being children. So what? It was 63 children. Divide by 217, multiply that by 100. 29% of the deaths in Palestine from the last 8 days have been children. And Netanyahu wants to talk about how his heart bleeds every time a child dies. How Israel is going out and being as careful as it can be, doing as much work as it can to make sure that there's no civilian death count. And that all civilian deaths are so unfortunate. Like, it's absolute bullshit. Not only have they been doing this for years, have been literally taking pot shots at children on borders for years, but in the last 8 days, 30% of the people that they have killed have been children. And those are people that they can't even claim are combatants because they're not old enough to be combatants yet.
And the response has been like this one from the Foreign Minister of Ireland. Israel has international legal obligation to protect children in conflict and are not doing so.
Absolutely.
That's just false. I mean, the reason we have these casualties is because Hamas is criminally attacking us from civilian neighborhoods, from schools, from homes, from office buildings. That's what they're doing. And we're taking action, trying to target them with as great precision as we can. Unfortunately, there are occasionally civilian casualties, which we regret. But here's what happens.
Over 8 days, you've killed 217 people. How many is that a day? That's 27, and like, we'll call it 27. That's 27 people dead a day. With 30% of that, or 29% of that being children. That's pretty much 8 children that you're killing a day.
When the international community,
like, absolutely disgusting,
attacks Israel, they're actually encouraging Hamas to continue these attacks, because Hamas says it's great. We're both killing Israeli civilians, and unfortunately some of our, and they're happy with their own civilian casualties, because it gets the international community to focus their attacks on Israel instead of Hamas. That's wrong.
Now, that's not the reason they're happy about those civilian casualties. Okay, let's get this straight here. Israel, like, criticizing Israel doesn't make Hamas any stronger. What it does is it makes Israel's position weaker on them being able to occupy the West Bank and keep people in an open air prison in Gaza. What criticizing Israel does is make it so that it's more well known, more well seen what's happening over there. What Israel killing Palestinians does is embolden Hamas, because, like I said before, strife is what breeds terror cells. Like, you going in and being an occupying force and killing children in droves, injuring thousands more, is not de-radicalizing anybody. It is explicitly the radicalizing force that is keeping Hamas as strong as it is.
It's both wrong and unproductive, because actually what it does is prolong the conflict and escalate and increase the number of casualties that happen as a result of the continuation of the conflict.
The question, Mr. Prime Minister, is U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken said that Israel has an extra burden, that Israel, because of its strength and power and dominance, has an extra burden on these question of casualties. The question is whether Israel is meeting its extra burden in responding to these rocket attacks from Hamas.
Certainly are. And I can tell you that there have been many studies by serious military analysts who have compared Israel's actions with that of other Western armies in similar situations fighting radical Islamists, whether it's in Iraq or in Afghanistan or elsewhere. And you know
it's super great to just name a whole bunch of places that war crimes took place and then be like, yeah, we're doing that, guys. It's good. It was good, right? It's good.
How prolonged those conflicts are, how many casualties are caused.
I'm sorry. How prolonged those conflicts are? Yeah, America's still is. Like, I don't trust Biden fully pulling out, honestly. But like, that's been what, 20 years. Israel and Palestine have been at this for 4 decades. Like, and that's if, I mean, yeah, 4 decades, because that's where you get into your, like, sayings around formation around Hamas and stuff like that. If you want to talk about, like, the struggle between Hamas and Israel, it's legitimately been it's coming up on 50 years, guys. It's been 4 decades. Don't try to compare it to other forever wars. It's coming up on being one of these occupations that can be called the 50 Years' War and stuff like that.
So I think there has to be a measure of fairness. There has to be a measure of reasonableness in projecting this kind of criticism against the Israeli army that is second to none in seeking to minimize civilian casualties while protecting our own civilians. You know, if Hamas would simply move these rockets out of the civilian areas, if they move their command posts out of these...
So what about all of those children that got shot by snipers at the border? Like, let's remove this whole bombing situation. What about all the people getting shot? What about the people getting brutalized in mosques? What about the people who are being moved out of their homes by Israeli occupiers and settlers? What about the Israeli courts that are stealing people's livelihoods and homes from them? What about the conditions in Gaza that have led people to be in 70% unemployment rates? What about, like, all of the infrastructure that you've destroyed? How's this for fair, maybe? Because, yes, you do have a right to defend yourself as a nation. That's absolutely true. Maybe helping with infrastructure rebuilding, first off, would be good. Maybe just not turning off their power and water occasionally would be great. How about building a bomb shelter or two in Gaza? Maybe you like to talk about things being, you know, fair, equal, equitable. Fuck it, give Palestine an Iron Dome then. Like, the point is here that there's a whole lot that Israel could do to stem, like, the growth of Hamas, to retaliate against Hamas without destroying Palestinian lives, and certainly doing this much more humanely, and not leaving, like, the Gaza Strip an absolute mess every time they're done with it.
Homes and offices, then there wouldn't be any problem.
Let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister.
But the fact is, they're sending thousands of rockets on our cities with a specific purpose of murdering our civilians from these places.
Let me ask you, Mr.
What would you do?
Let me ask
if it happened to Washington or to New York? You know damn well what you do.
Let me ask
you do at the very least what we're doing.
Let me ask you a broader question that was articulated by Senator Bernie Sanders, which is distinct from the clashes over the last week. His argument is that the treatment of the Palestinians is so rough that they are marginalized, demonized in such a fashion that there can never be peace, never be a two-state solution, and that your treatment of the Palestinians outside of this week creates conditions that are always going to lead to this kind of unrest, not just the missile attacks, but the riots you see in cities. What's your response to that?
Well, let's divide it into two. First of all, the Hamas is not attacking us because they're trying to increase the welfare of Palestinians. In fact, they're taking huge sums to build the terror tunnels, which we've been able to neutralize. By
the way, that's why they're bombing infrastructure and all of these other buildings. That there's clearly, with, like, no proof of there being any Hamas rockets or Hamas munitions inside of, because now there's terror tunnels under them, you see, and we don't have any pictures or proof of it, but we're blowing up the terror tunnels.
Rockets, missiles, and other armaments. They're not building up Gaza. They're doing everything in their power to turn it into a fortified terror camp in order to destroy Israel. And they openly say their goal is to destroy Israel. They're not interested in any kind of coexistence, any kind of the kind of peace, the 4 peace treaties that I've made with Arab countries that are changing the Middle East. They're trying everything in their power to avoid the path of peace and reconciliation. So I think any objective observer understands that Hamas is
There's been absolutely no attempt with the Israeli government to, like, bridge any kind of peace with Hamas. That is an absolute lie.
To destroy the state of Israel, and they're not a partner. As far as the citizens of Israel or Arabs, I've done more than any other prime minister and spent billions and billions of dollars in Israeli shekels, and 5 times more than all the previous governments combined, to ensure that our Israeli Arab citizens, all of them, can be part of the Israeli miracle, the great economic success story. I've invested that because I believe in it. I didn't do it now, and I didn't do it for CBS Face the Nation. I really believe in this. There has been a minority, a violent minority, that has tried to challenge that as well into.
So, I love the Gish Gallop here. Where's that money that he's invested into this gone? Because what he's talking about here is their continued occupation of Palestine, rolling them into the Great Israeli Project. Like, yeah, you spent more than anybody else. You spent billions on destroying these people's lives. Good job, buddy.
All right, Mr. Prime Minister,
Innocent people. I won't tolerate that. Neither Arabs killing Israelis or Jews killing Arabs or Arabs killing Jews.
Let me ask, I want you to respond to one other thing before we go, which is your domestic challenges. You are under investigation for bribery, fraud, breach of trust. You've also had some difficulty, 4 failed attempts to put together a government in the last 23 months. This leads to the criticism that your current actions are basically an effort to stay in power. And what's your response?
Oh, snap. He actually said it. He actually did it. He didn't bring up the coalition government part and that they specifically had 30 days to get this taken care of. But he actually went in on it.
To that.
That's preposterous. You know, when I was a young soldier, 18 years old, I held a fellow soldier who died in my arms. A few years later, my older brother, died while leading a rescue mission in Entebbe, Uganda to release.
That's his answer to what is your response to us to like the criticism that you've kicked this back off intentionally to stop yourself being ousted from the government, and then you just go, I was a soldier, I held someone in my arms, my brother died. Like, I'm so sorry that your brother's dead. I'm sorry that your friend died. I'm assuming that you were friendly with the guy who was the other soldier who died. What does that have to do with the question that we just asked you? Like, this is all just a bunch of patriotic BS to kind of gish gallop around the question and then just go, how dare you ask me if I'm doing this for my own gain? I'm a patriot.
Israeli hostages. I've seen comrades fall. I've seen my brother fall. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I've never, ever subordinated security concerns, the life of our soldiers, the life of our citizens, for political interests. That's just hogwash. I'll do what I have to do to protect the lives of Israel.
Hold on. Like, Benjamin Netanyahu has been running Israel's government for like 16 years and has managed to stay in power through violent strong-arm tactics. Like, his entire presidency has been putting Israeli lives in danger by actively fucking up Palestinian lives.
Israeli citizens and to restore peace. I've made peace with 4 Arab countries. I'm glad that we have a restoration of some considerable calm within Israel. That's my goal, to restore peace and quiet and to assure tranquility and reconciliation for all.
But this is a persistent criticism, Mr. Prime Minister. Why do you think it persists?
It persists because I've been reelected 5 times. It persists because I beat every other candidate in public polls and in direct election simulations. Apparently, the people of Israel, the majority, don't agree with this false criticism and this cynicism. They know that I'm standing there for Israel, and I'm doing everything I can for the safety and prosperity of the Israeli people. By the way, all of Israel's citizens, Jews and Arabs alike.
All right, Mr. Prime Minister, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being with us.
I mean, they asked him, but like that was really weak. They really like played a weak hand when they were talking to him there. They could have really went in on it, talked about the coalition government, talked about a lot more there. But I mean, overall, for what it is for CBS, I guess that wasn't that bad. At least they brought up that it is him trying to keep himself from being outed from the government. I wish they'd went into a bit more detail, but hey, what can you do? Guys, let me kill this water real quick, and then I'm going to head to the bathroom, get some more water, and then we're going to go over that Tennessee trans bill, and we still got a little bit of time. I'll try to get some games into. Maybe Fall Guys, actually. I'm really bad at Fall Guys, but it's quicker to do than Final Fantasy, at least. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, let me tell you what. I won't pull a song on you. Let me give you something to watch. God, I really need to go to the bathroom though.
This video was sponsored by CuriosityStream.
Okay, be right back.
Some of the abilities players can unlock in this game are downright broken. From the stealth-piercing power of electroreception, to the stamina regenerative power of sweating, to the survivability of cryptobiosis, it seems like every build in the game has at least one or two abilities that define their playstyle and grant them a unique edge in the competitive meta. But there's one ability that, more than any other, sparks jealousy in the hearts of players that don't have it: flight. It's been unlocked by only 4 factions in the history of the game. First it was insects, then pterosaurs, then birds, and finally mammals. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Flight is one of the most overpowered abilities in the game. It has a vast array of uses and implications offensively, defensively, and for general utility. So today we're going to take a look at why flight is one of the most broken abilities a character can have. We'll look at both the perks and drawbacks of playing a flying build. Being able to take to the air grants several advantages to Predator players. Most players have their field of view settings optimized for a horizontal field of view, making it easy to see approaches from the left and right, but difficult to see an attack coming from above. In addition, it's much easier to detect an incoming attack on the ground via sound. Perhaps more importantly, ground-based targets will most likely possess combat options that are most effective against other grounded opponents. Attacks like charge, bite, and stomp are generally much less accurate against airborne opponents. On the flip side, even if your build sports relatively low base attack power, flight offers a few ways to mitigate this. First, the dive attack is a viable offensive move even for builds with low base power. It can deal heavy damage in spite of lacking power stats because its damage scales with mobility rather than power. So the faster you're moving when this move connects, the more damage it does. Secondly, when facing an opponent with defenses too sturdy to be damaged by your basic attacks, you can oftentimes still defeat them as long as you can score a grab. After that, all you need to do is carry them high into the sky and let fall damage defeat them. So obviously in terms of offensive capabilities, a flying build can add a lot of powerful options to your arsenal. But how about for defense? Being able to fly isn't only useful for Predator builds, it has plenty of uses for avoiding being preyed upon too. Surviving as a prey build requires mastery of at least one of several potential tactics including stealth, evasion, counterattacks, and armor. The ability to fly massively improves a player's evasion. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, in most cases during flight, you're immune to attacks from non-flying opponents. Important to note that I said in most cases, not all cases. But yeah, rather than having to worry about armor, stealth, intimidation, or counterattacks, generally all a flying player needs to do to dodge attacks is take off.
Mission failed.
It's perhaps the quickest, most effective escape option in the game, leaving you basically only vulnerable to stealth attacks, or attacks from other flying players. And if you're worried about stealth attacks, as you very well should be, the other main defensive advantage flying builds have is being able to land in places that other players can't reach. Places like treetops are great for avoiding most stealth builds, although with enough points spent on climbing or arboreal mobility, it is possible for them to reach you. To truly escape, you'll want to find a cliffside, completely untouchable by non-flying builds, except for maybe the mountain goat, but thankfully they're not aggressive. In addition to being protected from terrestrial players attacking you, flight also allows you to avoid many of the dangerous random events that the game occasionally throws at you. For example, while terrestrial and arboreal builds are likely to get caught in a wildfire, aerial builds don't have much trouble escaping. And in a drought, it's far easier for a player to find the necessary water to survive when they can survey huge amounts of land from the sky rather than, say, hopping along the ground. In addition to surviving life or death situations, Flight has plenty of other applications too. Accessing exclusive locations on the map isn't only good for evading predators. A lot of exclusive loot is reachable only by being able to hover or fly, which is why builds like the Fruit Bat are so successful despite their mediocre stats. But perhaps the most important utility aspect of flight is that it can be used to fast travel. Very few players have the ability to visit other servers with ease, let alone ones that are far apart. Flying builds, on the other hand, frequently change servers, sometimes to find food, and sometimes to avoid ice damage during the Winter Overworld event. And when I say fast travel, I'm not talking about how convenient and direct it is. Flight genuinely is also an extremely fast movement option. There is a reason that when discussing cheetahs and how fast they are, there's a big fat asterisk next to their record speed. Because if you included flying builds, cheetahs wouldn't even be in the top 10, and if you include diving speed, they pale in comparison. So obviously the ability to fly is OP, but I don't want to give you the impression that it doesn't come with any drawbacks at all. There are two main ones that I want to highlight. The first is that simply to gain access to the flight ability requires a pretty heavy sacrifice to HP and defense, because you're forced to spec into the Hollow Bones attribute in order to be light enough to fly. Hollow Bones are quite weak to crush damage, meaning that being hit with any significant blow can often break a wing, which is almost always a game over. Players also experience crush damage during a collision, so if you aren't careful while flying and run into something, that can also do huge damage. Because insects don't have an endoskeleton, they don't suffer this same penalty and are actually quite resistant to crush damage compared to similarly sized bats or birds. The other drawback is that during flight you're obviously high above the ground and moving very quickly, and being in this state can make stealth highly effective against you. For this reason, all flying builds that want to play as a predator are forced to spend a ton of evolution points leveling up their eyesight, since basic eyes would be useless in spotting stealthy targets below. So hopefully now you have a good grasp of the benefits and drawbacks to this powerful ability. If you'd like to see aerial builds in action, there are plenty of excellent documentaries I can recommend. For flyers from present day, I highly recommend Jeweled Messengers, a documentary on hummingbirds. And for flyers of the past, there's a fantastic episode of Ancient Earth that deals with the evolution of feathers in dinosaurs. Both of which can be found.
Ancient Earth is such a good show. Sorry. I had, well, one, I still love Ancient Earth, but I had some emails from work to go over there a little bit. I unfortunately have my work email on my phone, so every once in a while I'll get a ping and be like, well, I saw it, now I have to deal with it. Where were you? Oh yeah, I did my videos already, didn't I? Very good, very good, very good, very based, very red build. Oh, that's where we're at. Oh boy, okay. Okay. Exposing violence. Okay, let's do this. This is what I wanted to cover anyway because it's extremely important, honestly. It's just it kills me to go over this shit cuz it's so gross. It's so disgusting, dude. It's so sad. Like okay, oh boy, here we go. Excuse me. Honestly, I wish my beard would grow back in faster. I'm tired of looking at these scragglies down here. It sucks. It really does. Why is my focus off? That's better. I say, like, it's all fuzzy all of a sudden. Okay. You may have seen in the recent months, there have been a lot of anti-trans bills that have come out. I've, in fact, been covering a lot of them on my channel. If you go and check out my last stream, I actually went over the vast majority of, I think it's like 35 states that are introducing anti-trans bills, and just went over what they were individually and a bit of like who you can talk to, what you can do, and also talked about the Equality Act that's going through. I mean, trans issues, or society's issues with trans people, let's be real, are a huge, huge topic today, and it's what conservatives are trying to make their battlefield on at this moment. And recently, one of the most gross examples outside of the Florida bill to make it so you can inspect children's genitals for sports. Outside of that, this is the most gross example of anti-trans legislation that I've seen in a very, very long time. And the point of it is just cruelty. If you haven't seen it, of course, what I'm talking about is the new Tennessee law forcing businesses to post a sign up that says that they allow transgender people to use bathrooms that match their gender identity instead of their sex. So, just fair warning, if these types of issues, especially bathroom bills, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that can happen with results of these discriminatory legislations. If some of that's going to be some of the stuff that might trigger you, very understandably so if you're a trans person, I'd advise maybe going and watching a different episode. I have plenty of other topics that I go over. But this is extremely important, and I really, really feel the need to go over this right now. Because although I'm a cis straight dude, I don't think that anybody's human rights should ever be up for debate like this. There should not this. But just to show I'm not first of all, this isn't some crazy leftist oh, we're just saying that this is a thing that's happening. This is on Business Insider. Because this will obviously affect businesses in Tennessee. It is a new Tennessee law and forcing businesses to post a policy sign saying that they allow transgender people to use bathrooms matching their gender identity. It was signed into legislation on Monday. This isn't going past, it's not something that's gonna sit in the House or anything. This is in legislation as of this week, saying that stores will have to put up signs saying that they allow trans people to access bathrooms. And specifically, any building or facility open to the general public that allows trans people to use their bathroom have to post signage starting in July. So in about a month and a half is when this signage has to start going up. The signs will say notice, as well as following in bolded black on white text. This facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom. Obviously, we have plenty of advocates for just LGBTQ people and human rights in general, saying that this is a massive violation and that it's going to hurt people. And make no mistake, that is the point of this bill. This right here exposes them to violence. Trans bathroom bills are extremely, extremely, extremely hard to enforce. They really, really are. There's really no way that you could go about enforcing I mean, sure, individually you could send inspectors down to check for these signs and then wait around to see if a trans person shows up and uses the bathroom that's not for their assigned gender birth. And then the store not do something about it and hit them with a fine, I guess. But realistically, there's no way to actually enforce this. What this is about is signaling that trans people are not accepted in this community. What this is about is othering trans people, letting people know, hey, there might be a trans in this bathroom. And it absolutely leads to violence. There have been multiple cases, not just like anecdotally, but statistics of trans women and men being assaulted when they go into, now it is less common for trans men because unfortunately there's a massive not unfortunately the trans men aren't getting hurt as often. Like, I'm glad that trans men aren't getting hurt that much. That's good. It's good. Although it does still happen. But with more frequency, it's trans women because it's cis dudes in MAGA hats that are beating the shit out of them. So, like, you've getting a lot of cases of women being, like, beaten for going into their bathroom for their gender identity. I mean, recently, I think it was 2014, 15, somewhere around there. There was that woman that was legit beat to death. Not even just beaten, like, it needed surgery or something. These men beat her to death because she went into a women's restroom. In 2013, the Colorado Civil Rights Division ruled in favor of Coy Mathis, a young trans girl who wanted to use the restroom at her school. That was kind of what started kicking off, like, allowing trans people to start going into their identity, like their gender identity bathroom. That was a poor way to put that. Go into the bathroom that matches their gender identity. There was, I mean, like, let's see. Sorry, I only skimmed this article. I'm trying to get to some quotes here. However, since the decision in 2013, those opposed to trans bathroom rights have argued that allowing trans people in the restroom that fits their gender is dangerous, particularly to children and women. It's the whole think of the children argument. It doesn't make any sense at all to let grown adult men, strangers, to be alone in bathrooms with little girls, Senator Ted Cruz said while voicing his support for a wave of anti-trans bathroom bills in 2016. So, sexual assaults happening in bathrooms, like, that's what Ted Cruz is talking about, is incredibly rare. Like, and also is already a crime. That wouldn't be suddenly emboldened by people going to the bathroom with their gender identity. People wouldn't be pretending to be trans just to go commit a crime either, because they'd still be just committing a worse crime than going into... I don't even think it's a crime to go into the, like, unless you're in one of these states that's putting in a bill. At this moment, I don't think it's a crime to go into a women's restroom if you're a man. And, like, I'm talking me, a man. The belief that trans people in restrooms are sexual predators directly impacts the daily safety of trans people, according to the UCLA School of Law's Williams Institute. A study conducted in the institute in 2008 and 9 found 70% of trans people reported some kind of harassment when trying to use the restroom. Let's see if that number is any different now. Percent of trans people harassed in bathrooms. Harassed for restroom. Almost 60%. So it's gone down a little bit instead of 70%, where we've gone down by about 10% over the last 12 years. Or actually, sorry, when was this from? My apologies. 4 years ago. So the last 8 years, it's gone down by about 10%. But that's over half of the trans people who are surveyed have reported that they have been harassed for using the restroom that matches their gender identity. And that's massive. That's a massive amount. That's an amount that literally pretty much comes out to, if you are trans and using the bathroom that matches your gender identity for long enough, you will be harassed at some point. Now, whether that harassment is violent or just people accosting you can vary, but really should either be a thing. Should you have that kind of stress when you're just trying to go use the restroom in public, that today might be the day that someone's going to scream at you for going pee in a toilet? Or, hey, maybe today is going to be the day that a group of guys drag you out like back of a store and beat you to death because today is going to be the day you decided that you wanted to go to the bathroom inside of a 7-Eleven. It's absolutely ridiculous that people have to live with this kind of fear. And passing anti-trans legislation, specifically like bathroom legislation like this, is only to endanger trans people. It's only to put trans people in a position where they constantly feel compromised, where they constantly feel afraid because of where they currently are and what's going on around them. I mean, let's see. Yeah, here it is. There's that Alexa Luciano is the woman I was talking about that was killed by a group of men for using the women's restroom. This one was at a Jimmy Fallon show. Are you absolutely kidding me? This is getting to be just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, not even getting to be. It's been like this for an extremely long time. But this bill is flagrant. The only reason that this exists is, like I said, to make trans people feel like they're in danger when they're in Tennessee. It's an attack on trans people's existence as a whole. If you're trans and live in Tennessee, you now have to wonder, come July, every time you go out, have you made sure that you've gone to the restroom and that you're not going to need to use the restroom while you're out at any point? Because if you're a trans woman or a trans man who passes and you use the bathroom that you're assigned with at birth, then people are going to harass you and possibly fucking kill you for going into that bathroom. If you don't pass and you use the one that isn't assigned to you at birth, the same result. So now it's become a game of you having to guess how much the other people think that you pass to decide if you're allowed to go into which restroom to go pee, so you can go back to buying cereal or whatever. That's the reality that trans women and men are going to have to live with in Tennessee. And non-binary people as well. If you're even dressed ambiguously, that can be the go-ahead that someone needs now. And bills like this are what emboldened it. And I have right here, I have the actual text. It's not extremely long, so we're going to go over the text of the bill. Just so I can show you, Business Insider isn't characterizing this incorrectly. This is... Sorry, my throat was so dry. Business Insider isn't characterizing this incorrectly. This is 100% just the text of this bill that lays it out like that. So we'll go ahead and go over it. What the Tennessee Code annotated Title 61, Chapter 120, Part 1 is amended by the following as a new section. This is HB 1182. Wait, is that B? Yeah, HB 1182, by the way. A public or private entity or business that operates a building or facility open to the general public, and that, as a matter of formal or informal policy, allows a member of either biological sex to use any public restroom within the building or facility, shall post a notice of the policy at the entrance of each public restroom and at each entrance of the building accessible by the general public. So what that means there is it doesn't even have to be a policy that's like written down or something that you have this policy. It can also be an informal policy. So if you have an employee that just lets someone, that's an informal policy. Like if an employee just lets someone go in and use the bathroom and you don't fire them for it, that becomes an informal policy and you have to post that on your door. Signage of the notice must be posted in a manner that is compliant with the standards for signage for restrooms under the Americans with Disabilities Act and must meet the following requirements. Be at least 8 inches wide and 6 inches tall. The top 1/3 of the sign must have a background color of red and state notice in yellow text centered in that portion of the sign. The bottom 2/3 of the sign must contain in boldface block letters the following statement centered that on that portion of the sign. This facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom. I mean, come on. Like, that's as pretty much as on the face as you can get. Like, there's nothing to mischaracterize here. Except as provided in subdivision B2, have a background color of white, type in all black. Let's see. Be located on the door. This is just how far, like where it needs to be put on doors. What the word policy in public bathroom means. And also, it excludes unisex bathrooms, by the way. So, unisex bathrooms have never been a problem, but yet we need this to protect people for some reason. Like, that's what always kills me with this, too. Is, like, they know unisex bathrooms exist. They have to put it in their legislation. And they know that there has been no problem from unisex bathrooms, or we wouldn't allow it anymore. We wouldn't have them anymore. But they'll still go out and give the excuse that these bills are about protecting people, protecting the women, protecting the children that are in these public restrooms when it comes to trans people that they want to discriminate against. It's absolutely just disgusting virtue signaling, and that's all it is. These bills are 100% put in place to make sure that trans people hurt. And it's absolutely disgusting to me. I mean, this is already in place, so it's much, much harder to get out of place. I mean, if you live in Tennessee, my heart really goes out to you, especially if you're trans. Please, if you are an ally in Tennessee, if you're a trans in Tennessee, and you have the ability to do so, if you have the time to do so, contact your local representatives and let your voice be heard, because that's the best that you can do at this point, especially with this already being in place. I just never, and people who aren't affected by this currently, just never let this drop from your mind that bills like this don't right now we're just touching gay people, just touching trans people, just touching the LGBTQ movement. But real intentions will always be masked under the protection of some other people, and bills that go in to harm a marginalized group of people will always, always, always be justified in this way. Even if you, for some reason, aren't, like, you don't care about the plight of trans people, you're on the whole humanitarian kick. Eventually, they will come for you. And these are the tactics they will use against you. Don't forget that. Do not ever forget that. The bulwark needs to remain strong. It's either we're all together and strong, or we get apart and we fall immediately. Fucking hate that bill. Pisses me off so much. Like, that is explicitly going to cause deaths of trans women and men. It is. It will. Guaranteed. Ridiculous. Oh, okay. I have about an hour. Okay. Yeah, alright. I'll probably play Fall Guys then. I'll play Fall Guys for a little bit. Oh snap, Biden just signed an anti-Asian hate crime bill into law.
Area, the vice.
Hold on, I guess we'll do this a little bit. This just happened while I was on stream, actually. I guess Biden is signing an anti-Asian hate crime bill into law, which good. Like, we really need it. We really, 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 really need it. Like, the amount of Asian hate crimes happening in the U.S. has been kind of nuts recently.
Just days after the mass shooting in Atlanta area, the Vice President Harris and I, we went down to Atlanta to meet with Asian Americans and the community across Georgia. It was a raw and emotional visit we had. We heard about their pain, their fear, anger, and all that existed in the community, and the feelings were about those feelings that they felt invisible, not seen. We heard how too many Asian Americans have been waking up each morning this past year genuinely fearing for their safety, just opening the door and walking down the street.
True. Very true. Like, it's a shame to see a lot of it coming from the black community too. It all comes back to a lot of the antagonisms that came from the, I almost said George Floyd, from the Rodney King riots. I mean, there were a lot of antagonisms are still around from these days, especially if you're on the West Coast. You should see the way that older shopkeepers and stuff like that look. Shopkeepers, like they're running an inn. Like dudes who run the 7-Eleven. Look at us when we come into stores at 2, 3 in the morning in Vegas. Like, absolutely. There's still some very heavy antagonisms going on.
And safety for their loved ones. The moms and dads who, when they let their kids out the door to go to school, were worried. Attacked, blamed, scapegoated, harassed during this pandemic. Living in fear for their lives, as I said.
And I called it. I called it as soon as Trump started doing it. Calling it the China virus and the Wuhan flu and the Kung flu was going to cause a massive wave of hate crimes against. Oh, wow, his teeth are creeping me out. Oh, boy. Going to cause a massive wave of hate crimes to happen. And look where we're at. People have, rhetoric was pushed saying that these were the people that caused the thing that was killing everyone's grandma and grandpa. And now people are physically attacking Asian people on the streets. Who would have guessed?
Just walking down the street. Grandparents afraid to leave their homes, even to get vaccinated, for fear of being attacked. Small business owners targeted and gunned down. Students worried about two things: COVID-19 and being bullied. Documented incidents of hate against Asian Americans has seen a shocking spike, as the Vice President has outlined at the front of her comments, let alone...
Actually, right. Let's see. I mean, I kind of want to see, like, what was Kamala Harris's? Oh, it was only like a minute. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to see that then. But let's see, like, what's the rate of Asian American hate crime right now? Great. It's gone up almost 150%. Oh my god. Oh my god, actual cancer. It's gone up 150% in 2020. Like, and up into 2021, I'm sure it's gotten worse. Let's see. And this is just in New York City. Are there... Okay. These crimes doubled from 49 to 122. Like, and that's in 1 year. It over doubled. Like, that's not a small jump that happened. Like, just in New York, 222 anti-Asian American hate crimes have happened. Like, I'm sure until, like, we're not gonna see full numbers until we get to the end of the year. But so far, according to CNN, we have had, where was that? 95 anti-Asian hate crimes happen in March, like up to March. So in 3 months, we had gotten like at least 30. So like 30 a month. It is absolutely the fault of our previous administration placing blame so heavily on Asians. Like, I remember when this pandemic first started, seeing a video of a man like in New York City attacking an elderly Asian woman, like because she was just on the bus, like she was wearing a mask getting off the train, and the dude like swung on her and beat the shit out of her. And that was at the start of the pandemic. Since then, we've only seen it get worse and worse and worse as rhetoric has progressed, got to be getting worse and worse and worse, calling it the Wuhan flu.
Let alone the ones that have never been reported. Gut-wrenching attacks on some of the most vulnerable people in our nation, the elderly, low-wage workers, women.
And sorry, I just completely forgot about it somehow. It's probably because there's so many shootings in this country. But we're extremely, extremely close to, like, the time period. And when, what was it, a month ago, that a man went to multiple, massage parlors and was shooting Asian American women. Like, anti-Asian hate crimes are absolutely at an all-time peak.
Brutally attacked simply by walking outside or waiting for a bus. Asian American women suffer twice as many incidents of harassment and violence as Asian American men. And the conversation we had in Atlanta is what we're hearing all across the country, that all of this hate hides in plain sight. It hides in plain sight. And too often, it is met with silence. Silenced by the media, silenced by our politics, and silenced by our history.
Okay, so what's the actual legislation then, though?
Every time.
Oh, there's just a bunch of these clips. That's what it is. Okay. I don't want to go over all of it, to be honest. Let's just see what the legislation is. House approves bill to fight hate crimes against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, sending it to his signature. Blah, 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 blah. What's the bill? Like, what is it? What specifically does it do? Will expedite the review of hate crimes at the Justice Department and make grants available to help local law enforcement agencies improve their investigations, identification and reporting of incidents driven by bias, which often go unreported. Okay, so I mean it doesn't do all that much really. It just helps. Really, all this does is help make sure that if it's a hate crime, it gets put down as a hate crime, and that people are getting like longer sentences for it. Which I mean, that's a deterrent for sure. It's a deterrent. Um, I don't know. I guess what could I really ask them to do fully? Like you can't make people not be hateful. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. If only, right? I mean, yeah, yeah. I guess that's a step. It is a step. It shows that at least we as a nation are trying to stand with Asian Americans. I guess the only other thing that I could think of doing is maybe like outreach programs and things of that nature, to help with their communities that have been shaken by this kind of violence. But that's really it. Overall, I mean, I'm glad that we are acknowledging that there has been this rash of Asian American violence, and that it needs to stop. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I don't feel like I need to tell progressives this, and especially lefties this, because we're probably not the ones going out and committing this violence on at least in en masse. But if anybody does hear this and needs to hear this, there are brothers and sisters too. Asian Americans, African Americans, Mexican Americans, no matter where you're from, you're part of us. You're our brothers and sisters too. And we can't just sit idly by and let this kind of violence shake entire communities like this. It's absolutely unacceptable. Okay. Let's see if there's any news that's on Twitter still that I want to go over so I can burn more of my great gaming times. No, not so far, at least. Fuck, why is $1.9 billion trending in US? What did we do? God damn it. What did we do, guys? Oh no. Oh jeez. Oh god. Oh jeez. Oh no. House approves $1.9 to bolster security at Capitol after. Fuck. They're spending $2 billion on rebuilding security at the Capitol. Just don't let motherfuckers in. Have enough people, have officers there. You don't need to spend $2 billion on trying to like increase money to law enforcement to keep the Capitol safe. You literally could do this no problem. Oh my god, who voted yes for this? At least Cory Bush and Elon Omar voted no. Who voted yes on this shit? Sorry, I'm hate tweeting right now. I'll be live and we'll be playing video games in a second, guys. Don't you worry. Okay. Had to rage tweet there a bit. That's ridiculous, dude. Absolutely ridiculous. Fucking clown country, dude. Oh, what'd Candace Owens do? Like, oh, you know what? I bet it has something to do with Demi Lovato. Bet it has something to do with Demi Lovato. As Demi Lovato came out as non-binary. I don't know if they go by they, them now or what. So I'm just gonna stick with they. Oh shit, she's stupid. That's what's happening. I'm not going to start referring to individual people as they. I am deeply sorry that I am not sorry. Some of us have to fight for sanity. Holy shit. Like, they is. Wait, is she replying to a tweet that tells you that singular they isn't a new construction and is literally a pronoun that's being. Holy shit. Oh my god. She's replying to someone explaining how that's grammatically correct by being like, I refuse to be grammatically correct. And then being like, wow, the left is I'm trending because the left. Wait, where's that tweet? That was here. What the fuck? Oh, it was up there. Where was it? There it is. Well, I'm trending because the left is trying to cancel grammar. Be sure to subscribe to my new show. Grift, 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 grift. Grift. Like, holy shit. I hate her so much. Just so much. Holy shit. Ted Cruz is calling people emasculated. It's time to dunk, boys. Okay. Okay, I swear I'm actually done tweeting now, guys. Sorry about that. There's just I don't really get to log into that much fire at once usually. Usually it's some bullshit. Anyway, we're gonna get some Vidya games going. I heard you guys like Vidya games. Is that true? Is that a truth? Is that the true? I just need to. Yes, I'm using Firefox for my other browser because I need to go to Restream and change what we're doing, and we'll get right to her. Steam open up over here. Gaming content. Hopefully that updated it. Let us see. Didn't update shit, dude. Never actually does. Oop, I just realized I had that on the wrong screen. Fuck. Well, y'all saw some of my analytics a little bit. Whoops. Fall Guys before work. I just edited it. Why isn't it changing? Fall Guys before work. Yeah. So, oh, because I can't see the save button. Duh. Okay. I was gonna do some Final Fantasy. I wanted to level my white mage a bit, but I do not have times. Do not have times at all. Right, I need to change the Twitch one too, don't I? I'll do that on my phone, actually. You guys want to listen to a bit of music? I'll throw on some stream beats, actually. YouTube's. Alright, that's all updated. Perfect. Oh no. The tab has broken it. There you go. Turn this down a little bit more, guys. Sorry. Oh, the most extreme show is here. No, that just means they remove respawns. That sucks, dude. I'm not doing that. That sucks. I'm already bad enough. Yeah, it's got main show selected right now. Cool. Actually, you know what? Fall Guys has its own music that's pretty good. Let me turn off this. Turn this back up so you can hear the Fall Guys. I have it turned down for my own headset though, because I watch like TV and shit while I play games. So you're not gonna get too loud audio on it. I don't have an audio board either, so I can't just do a quick mixer on it. Unfortunately. Hey, we already lost one, boys. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Don't move me with the pack. No! I did not see that coming from the side. I'm an idiot. Okay, I made it still. I like his egghead. Oh, is that the Among Us guy? I stopped playing this for like 3 or 4 seasons, by the way. I played it when it first came out and didn't have... I had it on the PS4 and didn't want to pay for Live anymore. Gold, whatever. Plus, that's what it's called. Didn't want to play for Plus anymore. So I hadn't played this in a very long time. I did not mean to do that. Had not played this for a shit! I thought that'd spin faster. And, came back to there being a whole bunch of new game types and costumes and shit, so I'm hyped. Am I not gonna qualify? Am I that bad? Oh my god, I'm that bad. Oh wait, I thought it was 37, not 27. Oh. Oh. Very good. Well, watch me get a crown on stream right now. Just like fucking first round, I do it, get myself a crown, and I'm outie. I'll just close the stream right there and be like, fuck it, I'm clocking in for work early. Or, you know, maybe having breakfast. That's what I should do. I should probably eat before work. I think I'm gonna make a salad or something. I know, big dude and salad, right? But salad's delicious, dude. I got some grilled chicken and shit to cut up in it. Oh, hell yeah. I'm gonna go hammies. Like, it's gonna be good, dude. I love Rollout, by the way. This has always been one of my favorite game types. Does this one have the shit shooting at you? Wait, what's the screen for? It does have shit shooting at you. I remember this when it didn't have shit shooting at you. Oh no. Stand behind the wall! Stand behind the walls! No! Oh, you're such a dick! Oh my god. Alright, not humanitarian anymore. Fuck it, bomb Palestine. There's something special about, like, Fall Guys and certain other competitive games where, like, it makes me just rethink some positions. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe people aren't that great. Maybe they're terrible. Maybe we just don't deserve it. error. What the fuck? A server error. Really? Is my internet shitting itself right now or something? The stream's still live, isn't it? Stream's still live, and I am still connected to the server and could go into a main show. So I just don't get my coins. Very cool, very cool. Whatever, it was a 2-rounder anyway. I'm gonna close out some shit, see if maybe that helps for some reason, but it shouldn't. Like, there's no reason that any of these apps should have been taking up bandwidth. They're not even actually running. The only one that would make sense is Discord, and I wasn't talking to anyone or anything like that. Just, it was running and that it was checking for messages and shit. We gonna get all 60? Let's go! Let's go, boys! Dizzy Heights. Oh, this... Okay, yeah. I remember this one now. We'll go on the right path. Then a swap to the left. And then a launch. What? It's supposed to launch you forward. That's the one that launches you forward. Fuck. I messed up. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Whatever. It probably would have been closer, like quicker if I just did it on the ground, to be honest. Damn it. I don't hammer trick. We in it for the real wins. We only win off skill here, boys. Meaning that I'm not skilled enough to hit the hammer at the right time. Just a sad little green bean. He's just a little guy. He doesn't even have anything. Just a little guy. The monkey! Look at the monkey. I like monkeys are my favorite animal, by the way. I really, really like monkeys. Gibbons? Gibbons are fucking adorable, dude. Absolutely. Based in monk build. Jinx. The first team to get completely jinxed is eliminated. When you get caught, grab the opponent team, jinx them. Okay. I hate these types of games. At least it's not tail tag. I'm not sick yet. Where are all the sickies at? Sick boys, go away. We hang out here with the non-sick boys. We're on the same team. I'm just having fun at this point. Our team's gonna lose for sure, though, because, like, there's nothing I can do about this. Because I'm not infected at the moment. What's up, guys? Let's fucking go! Ah! Alright. Grab him for us, dude. Slow him. Slow him! What? Robbed. Straight robbed. Straight robbed again. Oh, okay, he just did that on purpose. Damn it. We're gonna lose because of me. No! Damn it. Damn it. He juked me. He's jumping into a blue. Get him, guys. We won! We fucking did it, boys. We fucking did it, boys! With my one get. Alright, I'm pretty good. I'm usually pretty good at this one. I'm usually can survive the snowballs. Especially because them hitting you once doesn't like fling you or anything. You can tactical get hit by a snowball and live. It's okay. Alright, where'd the snowball come from? There it is. Alright, alright. Fuck that. Shit. Whoop. Whoop. As long as I don't get flung off the side, I should be fine. Especially because they're not really going too wild this round either. Like, they usually bump into each other a lot more and start changing like direction, like that, like this, a lot more. Shit. Shit. Oh no. Not good. Not good. Not bueno. Okay, I'm gonna make it. Alright, we 3 rounds deep now, boys. We almost there. Should probably change my stream output settings a bit or something. No, I don't want quit. I should probably change my stream output settings or something a bit though, because I'm getting drops for some reason. I mean, it shouldn't. It's just my internet. I pay Cox $200 a fucking month for this shit. Big shots. Wait, what's the hammer doing? Oh, it's not a hammer. It's an axe. Right. This shoot shit at you while you're on the seesaw. Got it. Got it. You don't have to be like this. You don't have to be like this. Oh, thank God. That, dude, those fruits colliding saved my ass. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Tip them further. Execute them. Oh no. We gotta tip the scales eventually. Somebody's gotta die, dude. Execute them. Oh, okay, it doesn't need to get all the eliminations. Eventually it just goes, okay guys, we get it, you're good. You guys suck. Get good, scrubs. We're gonna have an 11-person king game, aren't we? I'm getting me a crown. Damn it, I'm so bad at this. Fuck. I'm not getting a crown, boys. I'm so bad at this shit, dude. I just try to live. I barely even make it past, like, top 3 on it. Like, I get that you're supposed to do this as a strat, right? Like, eliminate as much as you can up here before you go to the next one. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god! No, no, no! No! See, I do shit like that, though. Like this. Like, I've erased all the progress I've made because I'm just fucking jumping in the same spot. And now I'm at the bottom. I hate this game, dude. I'm so bad. And now I'm gonna jump around like this forever. Fucking make some divides. Fuck these dudes. Damn it, almost killed myself there. Should have killed myself there. Like, I'm so bad at this. Oh, god damn it. And I'm dead. Like, I made so much progress at the beginning and threw it all away, dude. Alright. We'll do one more round of Fall Guys, and then I gotta go to work. Well, I gotta get ready for work. I work at home, so it doesn't take me too long. But I'd like to have a cigarette and maybe a salad or something. Are you gonna get me my coins again, dude? Really? Really? It's gonna steal my shit again. If it does it again, we're not doing another round. If it does it again, that's it for tonight. Or for today. Yep. Alright, fuck that. We're done. I hope you guys had a good stream. I really did enjoy it. Maybe we'll play some Final Fantasy or something next time. Hopefully we'll have some more time. I'll put out a schedule. I'm going to do this more often. I'm going to start streaming in the morning.